been in South Africa for the first time in 3 years since we landed in Canada, and my daughters and I went over. Kevin decided to stay behind. He was going to do his own thing, and it was such a fantastic experience. And what I wanted to talk about today was just to talk about what it's like going back to South Africa. And I think for me, the reason why I never went in the first year, I would say, or even in the second year, is emotionally I just wasn't ready to go back. It was so difficult to leave as a start. It literally pulled my heart apart when I had to leave and do all those goodbyes. You know what I'm talking about. And I think in the first year I just emotionally was not ready to leave. And it was such a fantastic union to stay with my parents, see all of my friends, and we've been chatting on WhatsApp and all the different groups, and it was just really, really great to see everyone. We left at a crazy time when COVID-19 was just picking up momentum in Europe and in Canada and in the US, and we managed to get across to South Africa. We were only there for 9 days for the March break, and we kept our flights. We tried to get back earlier, but 9 days was kind of just enough to be there. We could have stayed there longer. I could have done Hermanus and then Plet and then all over and eaten all that amazing food. But it was really a great trip, and I'm just so thankful to be back in Canada and safe. I think one of the very cool things about going back to South Africa for me was just seeing how cheap food is in South Africa. It's mind-blowing. It's so exciting to go there with Canadian dollars. You know, we got together as a family on a Sunday for lunch in Cork Bay, and we went to a place called Live Bait for fish and chips. And it's not just fish and chips in paper, it's gourmet fish and chips. Everybody had champagne. There were 8 of us. There were drinks, champagne. I had like the lionfish of the day with vegetables. There were a couple of sushi platters and starters. For 8 people with all of that stuff, it was 1,600 Rand, including a tip. That's $160. Friends, it's like Christmas, man. It is so exciting. You know what? Butter is very expensive there. I've mentioned it before in some of my posts. But yeah, butter I think is actually expensive. It's 70, 75, 80 Rand for a block of butter. And in Canada, it's not that expensive. But I think what I found out is that the food prices have gone up massively in South Africa, and it's very expensive for South Africans earning South African rands. So it's expensive for them. But for us, with our Canadian dollars, it is amazing. Eating out is just such a treat. The wine, of course, it just brought back such fabulous memories. I realized, I think, that my taste buds have even changed. So I eat certain kinds of cuts of meat here in Canada that you don't get in South Africa. And when you go back and taste their meat, it just tastes different. Not terrible or bad, it's great, but it's just very different. What else can I tell you? Oh, at Woolworths. Oh, I wish I could just package Woolworths and just bring it all the way to Canada. I think that's a big thing. I think everybody that I speak to, we really miss Woolworths a lot. But I was walking around there and just gloating and having a look at everything. The girls and I were just, where are those donuts, right? Those donuts in the box with the cinnamon and sugar. Oh, I love them. I know you guys love Krispy Kreme, but those are actually my favorites. And then also they have the pre-cut fruit and vegetables at Woolworths, and they had this big punnet of freshly cut mangoes. And that massive thing was, I'm just thinking in South Africa, it was 60 Rand. That's quite expensive, but if you think $6 for all of that, and it's perfect fruit, it's so tasty and delicious. It's just amazing. So yeah, those are cool things to look forward to if you're going back to South Africa. Definitely eating out wherever you can. And of course, you know, it's the gastronomy capital. It's amazing, and so much love is put into all of that food wherever you go. I did forget how aggressive the drivers are in South Africa. It's something that can't sort of put my finger on it, but I think people generally, it felt like people drive badly there. And I think it's because in Canada, we've become so accustomed to the rules and regulations of this is the speed that you drive, and no one really takes many chances. There are a couple for sure. I mean, there are some bad drivers in Canada, and I really don't want to generalize for each country. It's just that I particularly, when we were there, I just found people did absolutely ridiculous, crazy things on the road. I thought I was going to lose my life at least 3 times. But people generally are aggro all the time, and they're trying to get to places super fast. And it's like, really? If any of you have been back to South Africa, I don't know if you noticed that we have in Canada so much variety when it comes to grocery stores and supermarkets, but also clothing. So for my girls that are almost out of school, if they go to South Africa, you're kind of limited. There's, I guess, factory and cotton on. And then what else? I guess you can go to Trainery or Witchery or whatever those things are at Woolworths. But it's quite interesting when we're in Canada. We have just so much variety, and it's just obviously first world country, but also just it's just so much stuff is more accessible for us in Canada. So that was also very interesting to go back and look at all that stuff, and I'd die without Lululemon. So then there's the mountain, Table Mountain. Let me tell you, we were all driving, my family and I, to one of our favorite places at the V&A waterfront called Gibson's for burgers. It's kind of a traditional thing when we were in Cape Town. And we are on the N1 and we're entering into downtown, and we come in there, and this majestic, beautiful thing that sticks up out of the earth is just there. And I get this massive lump in my throat. It is absolutely magnificent. And I don't want to say that I've traveled all over the world, but I've been to a couple of places before. And let me tell you, nothing beats that mountain. Cape Town is still one of the most beautiful cities in the whole world. No one can deny. It is absolutely incredible. And so driving there in through to the waterfront and seeing all the little lights, and it's just beautiful. Really amazing. Getting into the V&A waterfront and sitting at that amphitheater, and there's live jazz and people are having wine, and all the restaurants are sort of al fresco dining and having champagne and sushi and fish and chips, and it's just amazing. And then all the little kids doing their dances in the arena with the marimba and the drums just brought back fantastic memories. It was really cool. My post that I quite enjoyed gin. So when we were leaving South Africa, the whole micro beer situation was almost petering out, and gin was becoming the new thing. Gin bars were opening everywhere in Cape Town, and now apparently tonic is the new thing. So people are making their own tonics with elderflower and infused with this and that and Angostura bitters and beautiful, gorgeous tonics, sugar-free. I mean, hello. So when I was there, I had a couple of pink gins and this and that, but I could have sugar-free tonics, just fabulous. And I really, really am going to miss that. Already yesterday, we bought a gin called The Botanist, which is from Scotland, really beautiful. But there's nothing that is elegant, refined, beautiful, gorgeous, like the gin I found in Cape Town. So maybe I need to do a little bit more research, and if you want to, you can drop me a line, let me know where I can find the stuff. I'm gonna have to import it, I think, but oh my word, come on, Canada. So my daughters and I were talking about our trip in South Africa and just saying that we don't think that anything has changed much. Yes, there are new buildings, new stores, new this, new that, but people generally carry on with their lives, right? And just like we have. And they are getting on with what they do. I think that one of the questions that we were often asked, and especially asked to the girls by their friends, was, what are you going to study after school, and what sort of opportunities are available? And what constantly came forward was that these kids are not sure about their future. So they can try and study if they can get into a university, but then what? Where will they find a job? And I think that's just one of the key things, you know, if you're deciding to come to Canada or you're already living here, and even if you're struggling with this COVID thing and you're in isolation with your little toddlers and you're going absolutely mental, just remember that the opportunity in Canada is incredible for your kids. And I think that's one of the things that I hold to so dearly. I'm so happy that we live here. I'm so grateful that Georgia's been accepted at university. She's going to Brock. Oh, that reminds me, I need to pay for her res tomorrow. And all these cool, exciting things. So really, if I can say, that was one of the questions that came forward quite a lot. And I'm a little bit sad in my heart because I don't want there to be sort of uncertainty for some of Maddie and George's friends. And so I think for me, it was a great trip to connect with my parents, and they'd moved subsequently, so I could see their new house and to wake up every morning with them and have coffee and do the breakfast thing and just spend time, special time with them. And obviously with my friends, you know, to see some of these girls, we would hug and literally just sob. It was just special times, drinking wine together, laughing, crying. Those times are really special, and I don't know if I could have done it any earlier than now. It was the right time to go, and I think I had a lot of anxiety about going because of my safety and because I've been through trauma already. I came to Canada and I feel safe and I'm healed, and why would I ever want to go back, was kind of my thinking. So I feel a lot better about going again. And we had an incredible flight. I don't know if you know about this new flight. So you can fly from Toronto to Newark, which is an hour's flight. And then from there, you get onto a United Airlines flight and you fly 14 hours direct to Cape Town. So if you are looking to go to South Africa or you need to go directly to Cape Town, it's a great flight. I prefer to have a longer flight than all the stopovers in Amsterdam and London and whatever. So it's a really nice flight. But yeah, I think for me, it was a really good time. And but Mensa, it's very far away. And 14 hours actually does feel like a lifetime. You know, like when you get home and you take your clothes and you actually just burn them. You like never want to see them again. It's very far. Obviously, while we were in Cape Town in South Africa, COVID-19 had started to hit really badly, and Kevin was supposed to fly to Morocco. His flights were cancelled, and it really started to hit home that perhaps we need to get back as soon as possible. And our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was saying, Canadians, everybody home as soon as you can. We couldn't get earlier flights unless we went first class, which was not going to happen. I was totally all about that. And then basically, we got home at the required time, had to do the isolation, but I must say going through the airport was quite unbelievable. We got to Cape Town International and people were in masks and it was busy. And yeah, there was still quite a few people in the airport. By the time we got to Miami, we were rerouted because of Corona. The flight basically was a complete nightmare in the end. But when we got to Miami, there was literally like no one. Our flight got off, got to the airport, there was no one there. They'd taken Glad wrap and wrapped them around the chairs that are around tables so that people wouldn't sit on them. There was no place to go. There's maybe one Starbucks open and one Wendy's or one McDonald's, but everything is shut. And people are really adhering to social distancing. By the time we got to Newark, it was even worse. There were so many grounded airplanes on the tarmac. I couldn't believe it. And I was so dog tired in the end. I mean, I was walking through the airport with literally no one in sight. They would even have people land at different gates to keep the people apart, which is super smart. And so by the time we got home, I was super grateful. And you know, when we landed, you saw the grid lines of Toronto and how beautiful, but not one moving car, maybe one or two. So I think reality really hit home for us. When we got home, Kevin was like, love, you're not going to believe it. Like, it's a ghost town. And it literally was. So you're experiencing that right now. It's nothing new for you. I want to post another video on tips and guidelines for not going mental. Watch for my next YouTube video. Thanks for all of your support. Thank you for joining my yoga classes that I've now started doing online, which I love. So you can DM me or text me if you want to do some of my yoga classes. I do them 3 times a week and you can get online. At the end of the day, I will say this, that there is just a vibe in South Africa that you will not find anywhere else in the world. You find sort of as you land, you can look at people and they look back at you. You just connect, and we have this connection as South Africans. It's just in us. And yeah, that was very special to experience. But I will say this too, that I'm home. Canada is home, and I love it.